I realize that it's January 5th, but this Christmas tree makes me feel like I'm getting a really warm hug, and I'm just not ready to let go of that yet. And it's just the prettiest filming location at the moment. So the fine folk over at Disney were kind enough to send me a screener link for Soul with just enough time to watch it before the official release date, but not actually get a video out for the official release date. Adding the fact that I'm on my first full break in about a year, we're also just a week and a half late with this video in general. I'm just so good at my job. Anyways, I actually haven't watched a new animated movie since Spider-Verse came out in 2018. That is literally 2 full years without watching a new animated movie. Like, I love Toy Story, but I said goodbye to it after it completed its perfect trilogy. I just don't need Toy Story 4 in my life. Also, yes, I know I need to see Wolfwalkers. It's been on my watch list forever. I just haven't had a chance to get to it yet. And it's not that I don't like animated movies, I'm just really bad at watching them, I guess. I saw like 200 movies in 2019 and not one of them was animated. But I figured, hey, shouldn't waste the screener link even though the movie's gonna be live on Disney Plus at midnight, and I strapped in on Christmas Eve to watch the latest Pixar installment, Soul. And I was genuinely moved by this movie. I'm someone who always wants to talk up the little joys in life. Like, I can be a lot nihilistic in the grand scheme of things, but I truly believe that there are just so many beautiful things to experience and that life has so many amazing things to offer. From movies that make you feel, to music that feels like it was written specifically for you, to books that transport you away to a different world. Good food and times with friends and family, no matter how far or near they are. Whatever your passions, interests, or joys, there's something out there for you, and the world just has so much wonder to offer. And this movie really captures in on the simplicity of that and the impact you can have on other people's lives without even realizing it. You don't have to sell all your worldly possessions and travel around the world wearing Birkenstocks to experience life. It's happening around you all the time. So let's talk about the story, how it made me feel, and why I think it's the Pixar story that adults should be taking the time for, because it's rarely kids that forget about the wonders of life. But before we get into the story itself, this movie is gorgeous. It's insane how far 3D animation has come, especially when it comes to like lighting and skin tones. The soundtrack is beautiful. Tina Fey and Jamie Foxx do an excellent job with the voice acting. This is truly Pixar in full form. And I'm genuinely upset that it didn't get a theater run, because it would have looked amazing. I know I'm behind on Onward and Toy Story 4, but to me this is the best Pixar movie that's released since Toy Story 3. So let's get into it. Soul tells the story of Joe Gardner, a passionate middle school music teacher who has dreams of being a full-time jazz musician. And on the exact same day that he's offered a full-time job as a teacher with the benefits package and retirement plan, he impresses a famous jazz musician named Dorothea Williams and gets the chance to perform with her that night. And this could be his big break, his chance to finally make it as a touring jazz pianist. But almost immediately after his audition, he falls down a manhole and finds his soul proceeding to the great beyond. But Joe refuses to go. This is his time. He's not letting something as trivial as death get in his way. So he starts bouncing somewhere in between life and death and the great before. The area's souls are given different personality traits and assigned mentors to find their spark before they're able to head off to Earth.
I'm a manipulative megalomaniac who's intensely opportunistic.
Word.
There's a movie that I saw at the 2020 Sundance called 9 Days that sadly got delayed till later this year that also deals with the concept of souls being prepared for life, and it was just so damn beautiful. So if you enjoyed Soul, definitely keep an eye out. Anyways, because getting one of those Earth passes seems to be his only way back, Joe poses as a mentor and gets paired with 22, a soul who's been avoiding living for a millennia and has never been able to find her spark.
And has had such notable mentors as Mother Teresa.
I made her cry.
But his missing soul doesn't go unnoticed.
You're out there somewhere, little soul, and I'm gonna find you.
Now, the two wrongfully see this spark as the thing you're meant to do on Earth. That before you're even born, you're instilled with this thing that's your reason for being, and the pursuit of that thing is the only way your life has any meaning. Some people will be chefs or athletes, others writers and doctors. For Joe, he believes it's music. That's what he sees as his life's purpose, and anything else is settling. But it doesn't seem like anything interests 22. For centuries, everyone from world leaders to philosophers to philanthropists and famed artists and psychologists have tried to help her complete her badge and failed miserably.
I have compassion for every soul. Except you, I don't like you.
She's comfortable with what she knows, and Earth just seems boring and pointless to her. But as we'll learn later, with 22, there's likely a lot of self-doubt, depression, and anxiety linked to this idea of purpose as well, something so many of us struggle with. But after seeing Joe's obsession with making it back to his body, even with his perceived failed life, she's willing to try and help him find a way back just to see what all the fuss is about.
Your life is sad and pathetic, and you're working so hard to get back to it. I mean, this I gotta see.
So they end up passing through the zone, which is the area where humans go when they're super into something they're doing. Think Andrew at the end of Whiplash, or a dancer getting lost in their routine, a chef preparing a fantastic meal. This is the place souls start to go when they're in the zone, which is the feeling that Joe gets anytime he plays music.
I have been messing with this team for decades. And the Knicks lose another one!
So the two find a group of free spirits who regularly cross over through astral projection to try to rescue lost souls. People who become so obsessed with work and anxieties that they've become disconnected from life.
What am I doing with my life?
As they travel to the spot where they can retether Joe to his body, Moonwind also points out that lost souls aren't that different from people in the zone. That it's possible to become so fixated on something that it becomes an obsession that also disconnects you from life. This should be a little bit of a warning to Joe, but it's his purpose, his destiny, his big break. Can't be obsessed if it's your purpose for existing. So they manage to connect Joe to his untethered body that's currently in a coma, but Joe's a little bit too eager to get back and accidentally takes 22 with him. So Joe ends up in the body of a therapy cat, and 22 ends up inside Joe. So now 22 is forced to experience life on Earth. What first seems too loud and impossibly overwhelming quickly starts to reveal the simple beauties of life. A slice of New York pizza, seeing a kid express her love of music, something that 22 never understood until she could see that passion in person. We're also shown a different side of Joe's life that he doesn't necessarily see in himself. He's been so obsessed with jazz and his definition of success that he hasn't always taken the time to learn or make time for the people around him. We know that he had a bit of a failed relationship, and he thought his barber's life goal was to be a barber, but learned that he actually always wanted to be a veterinarian and became a barber out of necessity. Just because Dez's life didn't go the way he initially thought it would doesn't mean it's not a life worth living. It doesn't mean he's not happy and fulfilled. He loves what he does because he gets to help people feel good and learn all about their lives every day.
I may not have invented blood transfusions, but I am most definitely saving lives.
And Joe never found any of this stuff out because he's just always been so focused on jazz. So singularly thinking that aspect of his life that he never made room for the rest or even asking about someone else.
How come we never talked about your life before?
You never asked, but I'm glad you did this time.
It's the same thing we saw earlier with his student that thought she wanted to quit band. Someone he's so clearly given the ability to express her love of music and values him for that. Just like his former student that got him that gig that did manage to turn music into a job. Joe's never taken the time to see the impact he has on the people around him. And he might have had a moment of pause here, but nothing's stopping him from getting back in his body for that gig. And I get it, work for something your entire life and die just before you can experience, I'd be just as obsessed as Joe. So it's full steam ahead to the venue, which quickly becomes full steam ahead to Rip Pants Town, which means they have to go to his mom's tailor shop. The issue being that his mom hasn't necessarily been the happiest with his goals of becoming a professional musician. She had to live through the struggles his father faced and doesn't want that same life for her child, especially when he doesn't have someone like her to float the bills. On their way, they see a busker in the subway station, and 22 is moved by the music, expressing that it's the first time that she ever really felt anything when hearing it. And Joe is super dismissive about it.
Of course, you love music now because you're me. Let's go.
But it's not Joe stopping to experience this beautiful moment of music, it's 22. Joe might love music, but he's not taking the time to enjoy those simple beauties the same way that 22 is. That's her experience. But they finally make it to his mom's shop, and surprise, she doesn't want to fix the suit.
We heard the news. Oh crap, she knows.
She's upset that he keeps pursuing these fleeting moments instead of taking the stability and benefits his full-time teaching job would offer. And for the people who think this is like a give up on your dreams movie, I assure you it's not. Just bear with me, we're building to a moment. Even if Joe doesn't have the full perspective, this scene is supposed to show how important it is to live for yourself. So Joe finally decides it's time to stand up for himself in this area and has 22 recite everything he's always wanted to say. How music is the first thing he thinks about in the morning, how it's the last thing he thinks about when he goes to sleep. For him, the bills don't matter, the music is his reason for living.
I'm just afraid that if I died today, that my life would have amounted to nothing.
that's the thing. His life would have amounted to something. He's a teacher, and a good one too. He gets to share his love of music with people every single day. He makes a difference in the lives of kids who also go on to pursue the love of music. He's not wrong about his goals, and there's nothing wrong with chasing your dreams and working hard to achieve something. But his life isn't worth any less if he were to die in that moment. But it's the push the mom needed to support him.
Let's make this work instead.
That's my dad's suit.
So they finally get to the club. They're waiting for Moonwind to get back to perform the switch, but 22 finally gets it. The sun peeks out from a tree and it all starts to come together. The joy of life, the beauty and the simplicity of everything the world has to offer, good and bad. That's the spark. They're so caught up in the idea of the spark being your purpose, but it's not your purpose for living. No one has a purpose for living. It's the spark for living life itself.
Those really aren't purposes, 22. That's just regular old living.
Exactly, Joe, but we'll get there. 22 feels so close to this breakthrough that she's actually already had, so she runs away before they can switch back. But the two end up getting caught by Terry, the soul accountant who's been looking for Joe on Earth and returned to the place before life and death, where, surprise, 22's Earth pass is complete. But Joe still doesn't get it and thinks that it's his spark and purpose that filled in the missing slot on the Earth pass.
It was my spark that changed that badge. She only got that because she was living
that's
my
not-
life.
Essentially saying that 22 is just piggybacking off of his own life and experiences. And 22 believes him, decides she must not have a purpose, and leaves him the pass. And it's here that Joe learns what I think a lot of people need to be reminded of. You aren't born with a single purpose in life.
A spark isn't a soul's purpose. Oh, you mentors and your passions, your meanings of life. So basic.
But Joe is still positive that his reason for being is music, so he heads back to his body. And don't worry, Mr. Mittens gets his back too. He just went for a little adventure. Joe makes it to the club just in time to beg for his spot back, and finally gets the chance to play on stage with Dorothea Williams.
Get ready, Joe Gardner. Your life is about to start.
And it's great. The crowd is vibrant. He's playing amazing. Dorothea is impressed. His mom was there cheering along with the crowd, giving him the support he always wanted from her. And it's all topped off with an official invite to the quartet. It was amazing. It was spectacular, but he doesn't feel any different. So Dorothea tells him a story about a fish looking for the ocean, when an older fish tells him that that's exactly where they are.
This, says the young fish, this is water. What I want is the ocean.
The idea that getting that thing is suddenly going to make everything in life feel better is so prevalent, but it's just not always true. Trying to find purpose shouldn't come at the expense of happiness. Joe has been chasing a feeling for something that he already experiences. He doesn't need to be on stage every night to enter the zone. That just happens anytime he plays, regardless of who's around. It's human nature to always want more, but it's also really important to remember everything you have. So Joe heads back to his apartment, confused that this wasn't some magic shift, and starts playing while looking at all the things that brought 22 so much simple joy and wonder, and thinks of all the things that brought him those feelings too. Simple moments with his parents, riding a bike, fireworks, sharing his passion for music with the people around him. People spend so much time looking for life when they're already living it, so don't waste it. And Joe finally gets that. He starts playing to get himself into the zone where he comes across Moonwind on the hunt for 22, who's sadly become a lost soul. Obsessed with all the things people have called her over the years, finally weighing down on her now that she's experienced the joy of life, but thinks she doesn't deserve it.
I've always worried that maybe there's something wrong with me. Maybe I'm not good enough for living.
Not good enough. Nope.
And when Joe finally catches up with her, he admits he's wrong.
I'm not good enough. I never got my spark.
Yes, you did. That last box fills in when you're ready to come live.
That she is ready to live. Those were her experience, and that's the spark. It's not your purpose, it's the spark for life, for dreams, experiences, and passions, and you can have a hell of a lot more than one of those. And he gives her back the Earth Pass, sacrificing himself because he realizes what a great life he lived. And now it's her turn. So he takes her as far as he can before she goes on to start her new life. And when I tell you, I bawled. And even though he's not quite ready to go, Joe accepts his death before he's given one last chance at life.
We're in the business of inspiration, Joe. But it's not often we find ourselves inspired. So we all decided to give you another chance.
And this time, he's going to live it.
What about Terry?
That's weird.
Hey, Terry, what's that over there? Look, immediately.
What are you talking about?
It doesn't mean he's giving up his passions. It doesn't mean he's giving up music. It just means he realizes he already had everything he needed. He gets to make money doing what he loves every single day, and he gets a benefits package? That's sick. We all have dreams in life. Things we want to do, things we wish we had, things we hope to achieve. The entire time we're growing up, our lives are filled with different passions, activities, and hobbies. Some of those interests are going to become all-encompassing for years of your life, and others will cycle in and out as as you get older. You grow up wanting to be actors and rock stars, athletes and world leaders, but not everybody is gonna get there. And even the people who do aren't always satisfied with it. Some people literally destroy themselves trying to get there and completely lose sight of everything else. Also, shout out to Recess for dealing with the anxieties of life in children. I'm not saying we have to give up on our dreams. If I gave up on things, I probably wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now. But what I am saying is okay for dreams and goals to change. If I judge myself based on my high school aspirations, I'd have to consider myself a failure right now. Shocking, I am not in fact a famous musician in a band. But that doesn't mean I can't still play music, and it doesn't mean I can't annoy all of you with my singing on stream, but it doesn't suddenly invalidate life because there are so many reasons to be alive. And I love the hell out of what I get to do now. I love movies like Whiplash where someone gets so obsessed with a singular goal that it consumes them, but Andrew says it himself. He'd rather die young, drunk, and broke as long as he was remembered. That's not healthy. That's really not something anyone should be striving for. And your reason for being can still be music or woodworking or reading or writing. It doesn't have to be the thing you make money doing to do it every day. People, including myself, can get so caught up on the getting there, when there doesn't always feel any different. And then you'll look back and look at all the good things that you might not have appreciated while it was happening. I used to get super caught up in anxieties of the unknown and the future, and it stopped me from living in a lot of ways. And that is why I'm a huge fan of what I like to call the give a shit movies, which I would include this in. The movies that express the beauty of life, the ones that let you know that through all the bullshit out there, the heartbreak, violence, and awful things, there's also so many amazing things to experience. Movies like Spontaneous that literally point out how fleeting life can be through teenagers spontaneously exploding and how that's all the more reason to enjoy every second of your life. Palm Springs, which I largely see as a post-adolescence coming-of-age story, which deals with a character getting over a fear of life in a time when it starts to feel like nothing matters anymore. People are gonna want to compare Soul to Inside Out, and I get it. Same director, same kind of search for meaning in life, but Soul just seems to take it to that next level. As someone who used to get really down about failed potential and forgotten dreams, Soul made me feel at peace in a lot of ways. So take some time to smell the fucking flowers, pick up that guitar that makes you feel like a failed rock star. You can still feel like one in your bedroom. Jump in the ocean, make a snow angel, take up a cooking class, learn how to make those fancy charcuterie boards with wood and colored epoxy. There's so much this world has to offer, and you don't have to put yourself into singular boxes. Not everything in life has to generate some kind of output or income. You can just enjoy the moment. Nihilistic and self-deprecating jokes are kind of at an all-time high. A lot of people joke about their mental illness and kind of wishing they were dead, and I understand the progression of that kind of comedy, but it's also to remember that there's a lot of really great things out there. As horrible as things can get in life, I assure you, it's worth it.
What do you think you'll do? How are you going to spend your life?
I'm gonna live every minute of it.
So that is gonna do it for today's video on Soul. I'm surprised I managed not to cry, because holy hell, like, Pixar gets it. Pixar gets it. Pete Docter is very good at making people cry. Do you know that? But this was really great. If you have Disney Plus, I 100% recommend watching it. It was not like Mulan where you had to pay an extra fee to watch it. You can just watch it, and that's awesome. It's super good. I don't necessarily know what age group this would be appropriate for if you have kids, but just for yourself, it was a really beautiful movie. I can't really recommend it enough. So thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you all had great holidays and are staying safe and all that good stuff. I hope your New Year's are off to a good start. I'm super excited to kind of like get back into the swing of things on this channel. So thank you all so much for the support. Thanks as always to my Patreon supporters. Anybody who's subbed to the channel, leave a like on the video if you're into that kind of thing. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. I'm mostly okay, and we'll catch you all later.